Yeah, what I was gonna say, right, breaking into the top 4 of Latin America, it's a hard thing to do. For those who don't know, 1 obviously is special, 2 is Kellizer, 3 is Cham, and 4 is usually Eric, but a little bit more unstable, that 4th spot. Sometimes it's Ryu, sometimes it's Jim Rising, sometimes it's Terran. You know, it mixes up from time to time, but it's hard to break into that. It's really difficult. You need a lot of time and dedication and passion if you want to try and go that far and take that leap. And being a part of these weekly tournaments is a part of it, right? You're able to test your mettle against your peers to see where you are in relation to them in a tournament environment instead of just ladder. You know, this is where vetoes come into play. It's where, you know, the stamina of playing through game after game after game after round, being casted as well, that all does play into this. And, you know, we'll see how far these players can go as we are here in the grand finals. Place your bets, people in the chat. You have 3 minutes to vote on who you think is going to be today's champion. And spawning in the top right hand corner of Hardwire LE, we have the Brazilian Zerg player himself representing Team Super. It is TheZergLord. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Hardwire LE, we have the other Brazilian player, the Brazilian Protoss player, representing his brand new team, Platinum Heroes. This is the purple Protoss. Some know him as the King of Pain, but he is MasTeR. I do know that MasTeR has had a bit of an identity crisis recently. Last Sentimiento Latino, he actually played under a different ID, if you remember, if you were there. He played under the ID Impact instead, and he even messaged me requesting to be called Impact for that stream. I don't know if he wants to keep being called him. I should probably ask him. Maybe after the tournament or something, whether he wants to name change, whether he's content with MasTeR, like what's going on, you know, with our Brazilian Protoss. I don't know. Stop changing your name. shaking my head. But we'll see how this goes. So far, for the time being, the probe is just being a little bit annoying, you know, just taking some minerals here and there, just making the mining a little bit inefficient. This is worth it if you're a Protoss player, or any player really. This is worth it if you're able to make sure that your build at home isn't being hindered. If you have the APM, if you have the multitasking, then why not? Just force your opponent to be a little bit inefficient. Meanwhile, MasTeR was also able to force the unnatural natural of the ZergLord, so because of this, Adepts could work well, as an opener. We'll see. ZergLord is just droning on up. The first Adepts are going to be rallied across the map as well to try and catch any kind of transferring workers here and there at any moment. And MasTeR is going for your typical standard Stargate opener. And no Twilight Council, no DTs here. Not yet. Meanwhile, the probe is forced all the way back, keeps it alive, so no lost resources there really for MasTeR. Maybe a little bit lost mining time, because this could have been mining the entire time, but it's all good. And the first Adept is rushing across the map. This is where, like, the annoyance of taking the unnatural natural comes into play. The ZergLord has to make sure he makes all of his drones here at that natural base and has to minimize transferring workers as much as possible, because you run the risk of losing them to this Adept. As the Adept is threatening the area in between the bases, for the time being does back off because he doesn't want to get caught out, especially with this link speed timing, but should be eventually back once he joins forces with his second Adept. Wait. Meanwhile, the ZergLord, he just gets his natural base, or his third base up and running, technically. It's so difficult referring to these bases when they're taken in a different order. But yeah, he is working on that. Overlord Scout does confirm a Void Ray opening. I believe the ZergLord even saw the Oracle, quickly checking. Yes, he did. He saw the Oracle as it was coming out, so he knows about the importance of spores, so hopefully he should be throwing them down soon. And from here, MasTeR is going into Ground Toss. This should be for Blinkstalker. I mean, we saw it work against Ryu, why not try it against the ZergLord? Again, the stark difference between Ryu and the ZergLord is we saw how greedy Ryu was trying to be with his tech, and how often and how comfortable Ryu is with Hydra Lurker, right? Like that's his like win condition. That's his end goal. That's where he wants to be. The ZergLord doesn't have that same win condition. His control isn't necessarily there with Ryu, with Hydra Lurker. He is more willing to embrace the mid-game composition of Roach Ravager Ling Main. And because of that, I think he can do well here, like especially against how MasTeR plays. Ooh, especially because we have Glaives. I should have taken note that there was no Forge for +1, so Blink Stalkers are going to be delayed a little bit here. We are going into a commitment into Glaive Adepts first to begin with, and so far this has gone unscattered. So far, the ZergLord has a very nice Ring of Vision here, just keeping an eye on what the hell comes out of those bases. Void Ray comes across the map just to be a little bit annoying, doesn't do too much damage, and the ZergLord is playing this out quite well. I'm a little bit concerned about the lack of wall though. There we go, we have an Evo Chamber on the way. I believe one more Evo Chamber will close this up in the end, and he should be able to wall off in time for all these Adepts, which are scouted. There we go, the Adepts are on the way. There's that full wall off that we were looking for. The ZergLord fully walled off here at his natural. Does he have enough to defend his third though? That is going to be the question. That's a lot of Adepts. 11 Adepts in total are coming on out. So far, the wall is indeed a wall. Roaches are on the way, and the ZergLord has responded quite nicely. Uh-oh. Oh, as we have a stasis trap going off, only connecting with two drones in the end. Meanwhile, the Adepts rush on forward, and they do get a kill on 2 Roaches, but only 2 Roaches for the time being. The wall is the wall, but oh, the ZergLord slipped up a little bit. 2 more drones do get caught in the stasis trap, and the ZergLord allowed the Evo Chamber to finish. Oof. Aye. So a little bit of wasted resources there by the ZergLord. He will throw down another wall, thankfully. But again, he has to be careful. He has to make sure he doesn't finish this Evo Chamber. Meanwhile, for the time being, MasTeR is just poking, prodding here at the 4th base, threatening a shade in towards that 3rd. Does commit just to get a couple of drones, and he gets 1. Ugh. Only 1 drone though, and the Oracle gets picked off in the end. But again, the ZergLord has honestly done really a great job at defending so far. It's not over yet, and this is the contrast between MasTeR and Parker Mike. By now, Parker Mike would have committed to one of these shades, and he would have lost all of his Adepts, let's be honest. It's so important that MasTeR keeps these Adepts alive, because he needs time. Blink is on the way, +1 is on the way, 2nd Robo and Robotics Bay. There's so much tech on the way here. The army of MasTeR isn't that impressive. There's no staying power here, there's no Robo units, there's no backbone. He would be vulnerable to a counterattack, but there is no counterattack because if the ZergLord ever moves out, drones will die. So again, MasTeR has to be very careful with these Adepts to make sure they stay alive for as long as possible. Meanwhile, the ZergLord is going for a Muta switch instead. I don't know how I feel about this. I'm torn, mate. I'm torn. Mutas can work really well. We do have a lot of Blink Stalkers though, and defensively, Mutas aren't going to do much at all. They're being rallied to go across the map, but MasTeR, his upgrades are done. He is ready to now be active with his army. He's pushing out across the map with a lot of sentries, a lot of stalkers, and yeah, the ZergLord can't really engage because he was spending all of his gas on Mutas. He doesn't have any Ravagers. Oh my god, at the same time, War Prism gets into the main base. Drones are falling left and right. Finally, the Adepts are getting some damage done. At the same time, the Stalkers are pushing on towards that 4th, and the ZergLord has to commit with his Mutas. These Mutas have to deal damage, but you know what? Stalkers are already at home. Thankfully, no shield battery, no cannons either. These Stalkers, they aren't the best defensive unit. At the same time, across the map, ooh, 15 workers have gone down. We see another warp in. Without Ravagers, we don't see any piles. The Prism is not being dealt with, and the 4th base goes down. Ooh. And again, there's no way for the Mutas to do anything here. They're doing nothing across the map. Overcharges popped here at the 3rd base. The Mutas have actually killed 0 workers. Ay. Fun fact. MasTeR, he didn't even know Mutas were coming. That's why there aren't any cannons. That's why the cannons are being thrown down now in the Mineral Alliance. He had no idea until the mutas were revealed on the front line. All he had to do was warp in at home, make sure he had enough energy for an overcharge here at the third base, and there was just nothing to stop these Wing Stalkers. Again, it's almost like he blind countered the ZergLord in a way. I say in a way because the ZergLord should have known this transition was coming, and he chose not to invest in that ground army. To be fair, the Muta Cloud is looking pretty big, so maybe he can make something happen here in the counterattack. As he has a lot of Roaches and a lot of Lings. Yo, he just targets down that fourth base. The problem is he's gonna trigger a counterattack. Like, that's some really good damage, but now MasTeR, he's coming. And I don't think the ZergLord can stop him. Still no Ravagers. We have 8 Roaches? We have more Mutas on the way. It's Muta-Ling. Can that work? It can, to be fair. We don't have any Archons. We're relying so much on these Blink Stalkers. Meanwhile, a bit of a Ling run by doesn't really accomplish much at all. The Stalker army is breaking on forward. The Muta Cloud is trying to catch reinforcements. Does get a Disruptor, which is good. But Disruptors don't shoot up anyway. We need some better pickoffs. Here we go. Lings are getting ready for a full surround. Here we go. The trigger has been pulled. The ZergLord, he's diving on in. We need some Purification Novas. In the end, we have some Force Fields there. Not bad at all. But the Muta Cloud isn't too large. Oh, that's a lot of mutas. 24 mutas in the end. Eventually, we'll be able to clean up this entire army. MasTeR being punished for not transitioning. He saw the Muta Cloud and he chose not to make Archons. He chose not to throw down a Stargate for Phoenixes. He's just tunnel visioning on just Blink Stalkers, and he did deal a lot of damage with his first push, but I'm sure he was hoping for the second push to do a little bit more. And I don't know if this is the best response. Ugh. The Stalkers are trying to do what they can, but again, the Ling reinforcements are just too much damage here. The Stalker count is getting lower and lower without shield batteries, without cannons, without any kind of support. MasTeR just doesn't have enough. Initially, he was looking so good, so strong, but he was being a little bit too stubborn, sticking with this army. It looks like he barely has enough to hold on. Barely. But the ZergLord is not stopping the Muta production. He's not stopping, Puppy. He's not stopping. And again, we'll see if the stubborn nature of MasTeR pays off for him. I mean, his Stalkers are in position, and he's gonna get a couple of mutas. 3 mutas, not bad. I would just really love Archons. You know, Archons are great against both Lings and mutas. Like, they're good against everything that the ZergLord has. Come on, MasTeR, you can do it. You can do it. Just throw down on Templar Archives. You can do it, papi. I wouldn't even be opposed to Colossi, to be honest. I mean, they would help against the Lings, but oh my god, MasTeR's just always in position, but he's being overwhelmed. The Muta Cloud again. We have 20 mutas. 20, puppy. It's a lot of mutas. And we're just sticking with MasStalker. The problem with this as well is that it isn't just MasStalker. Where's +2? +2 has been missing for a long time. Like, we've had +1 for like what feels like 5 or 6 minutes. Without +2, the Stalkers aren't as ideal. The Muta Cloud, they ignore the cannon. They don't even care about it. They just get everything in the main base. Templar Archives finally on the way, but it gets targeted down. MasTeR finally realizes that he's missing a crucial unit here in his army, and he's just not gonna get it. It's just not gonna happen. Not like this. Not like this. I mean, he's doing a great job at like reading where the mutas are, all things considered. But there's only so much +1 Blink Stalkers can do for you, you know? Like, there's other units out there. It's not just about your Stalkers. You know, Archons, they'll be there for you. They got you, puppy. They won't hurt you, MasTeR. It's okay. Yeah, it kind of feels like the ZergLord is running away with this a little bit. I mean, we do have some Colossi on the way now. We have the Temple Archives being rebuilt, I guess. But this is all just like 5 minutes late, you know? It's late to the point where the ZergLord is about to max out on MasTeR. He's got 35 meters. It's an apocalypse. He's got an apocalypse of meters. Like, there's no stopping the apocalypse, mate. Gas geyser gets sniped. I mean, MasTeR is keeping up in terms of the supply. He's got his 2 armies. He's trying to keep up. Do I want to believe? That's the question. Do I want to believe? I mean, we have some nice swipes here. Overcharge is popped, but oh, it's targeted down immediately. The Mutas, they dive on top of these Stalkers. The rest of the army is on the way here. The Lings get evaporated. The Sim City is looking pretty good from MasTeR, but now this is where the Sim City works a little bit against him. He's having a hard time keeping up with these Mutas. Colossi doesn't really have much to do either. A Stalker army goes towards the main base instead, trying to rotate around. Oh my god, a lot of Mutas going down actually, but I think this is an okay trade for the ZergLord anyway. Like, his economy is untouched. He's making more Mutas behind this. We need some Archons, please, Papia, or the rest of the Stalkers. They're chilling in the main. In the end, MasTeR does tap on out, and the ZergLord takes game 1. I say the ZergLord. Demi, was that you? I don't know if Demi's watching, but MasTeR. It works, apparently. GG, well played. Congratulations to the ZergLord for taking game 1, but that was only game number 1. Only game 1. There's plenty of room here to come back, to bounce back in this series. Again, MasTeR just a little bit too, like, the blinders were on, you know, just tunnel visioning too much on pure Blink Stalker. And I should give credit to where credit is due. Despite just having a mass Blink Stalker army, he was doing fairly well. He was keeping up with the Mutas. He was sniping however many he could, whenever he could. It was still very impressive to see him work with that army. It's just, again, not the army that you really want against Ling Muta. And now we're getting into game numero 2. Oh boy. That game was, quote unquote, so easy for Protoss. Great comeback by the Zerg. I mean, things were looking really scary for the ZergLord there. Like, when we saw the Adepts in the main base of the ZergLord and the Stalker army pushing in and killing the 4th, and the initial response to the Mutas, let's be real here, you know? Like, the ZergLord was looking, MasTeR was looking really good to begin with, and then it slowly slipped out of his hands. The ZergLord correctly identifying, you know, what the weaknesses of his army were. As we are getting into game number 2. But yeah, shout out to the ZergLord. He's asking if there's if the mod is enabled. They're also speaking. Resumed. Okay. Never mind. Were we playing on like a different variant? Let's find out. Yes. Ooh. Big Game Hunters. Wrong mod. Okay. We're just remaking. The ZergLord, he noticed the mineral patches were a little bit weird. He was like, what's going on? This is not right. And he was right. It wasn't correct. So thankfully we didn't play out game 2 on Big Game Hunters. That would not have been good. Muta's Imba. Fonada for sure is in the chat. I mean, look, if you're just making Stalkers, then, I mean, you deserve to die to MasTeR, okay? He had plenty of time to respond, puppy. Plenty of time. Oh, But here we go. We're getting into game number 2. And I think what I should say is that, again, because there was only like MasTeR only had to make like a slight variation or a slight adjustment to his play to win that game. So this is still going to be very close between these two players. Like MasTeR, there was a big period there where he was ahead and he could have kept going and could have potentially won. And I think he knows that. So I wouldn't be surprised if this does have a little bit more of a back and forth to it. The series overall, I mean. I would be shocked if TheZergLord wins this 3-0, to be honest. Like if this goes 3-0, like I don't know what to say. I don't think that's how this is gonna go. I hope not anyway, I hope not. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. As we are getting ready for game number 2, this time we do have WCS Game Heart. This time we do not have big game hunters. And we're just getting ready for our players. God damn it. I just got funaded by Babyling. She's exposing my screen. My freeze frame, I should say. But here we go. Finally, the players are ready. We are diving into game number 2. Again, best of 5 grand finals. Here we go. Regardless of how this goes, we have at least a couple more games ahead of us. And we are this time loading into Glittering Ashes with the correct mod. Hashtag Team Zerg. Ah. Alright, let's go. Here we go. Spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Glittering Ashes LE, we have the player who is currently leading this series. Representing Team Super, it is the Brazilian Zerg. It is TheZergLord. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Glittering Ashes LE, we have the other Brazilian player, the Brazilian Protoss player representing Platinum Heroes. It is MasTeR, aka King of Pain. Oh. And yeah, I'm surprised that the Mass Muta worked. We don't see it often enough in this matchup. Again, just because depending on the openers, like it can be really difficult to pull off. Specifically, MasTeR opened up with the Stargate, if you remember. So he had the option to go into Phoenixes if he wanted to. Throw down a second Stargate, double Stargate Phoenix production, for example. Or, you know, you can see a transition into Archons as well. And at some point, you do have to transition out of mutas and back into something else, you know? Mutas are usually just to trigger a response from your opponents, and then you pivot away from it. But because there was no response, like, the TheZergLord could get away with just amassing muta after muta after muta. It was crazy. it was crazy to see. And we'll see if he does it again. Glittering Ashes isn't a bad map to go mass muta on. It's large, there's plenty of area to traverse around, especially in between the bases. It can work well, but I am also concerned though, because clearly, especially towards the end, we all saw that things were clicking in MasTeR's mind, and he was recognizing what he needed to do. So if he goes up against mass muta again, I don't think it's gonna work. I don't think the TheZergLord should try and do that again. Not this series. Yeah, until that happens, you know, we'll see. We'll see how things pan out here. So far, pretty standard openers. MasTeR did deny the naturals, so forced the TheZergLord to take the unnatural natural. Gonna make it that much more awkward to drone up. Gonna make it a little bit harder to make sure all of his drones are safe and sound from those adepts. And MasTeR once again going for the Stargate opener. I don't see MasTeR going for a Twilight Council opener anytime soon. I don't think he's that kind of player to go into straight up wave adepts. He's not Paco Mike. He is not Paquito. Oh, we'll see. as that probe does get sniped. Third base is being thrown down. Quickly checking, did MasTeR see the third? He did barely catch that third base. So MasTeR knows there's no two-base all-in or anything crazy like that. He's going across the map with his first adept to try and find some damage before Link Speed finishes. Not just find some damage, but also check the drone count, make sure that the ZergLord is actually saturating his natural, so there isn't a Bane bust. We saw that against Mike. The ZergLord did try and Bane bust him. Didn't work in the end, but has the potential to do it. That's the third base. Sorry, natural base gets scattered. Natural. As the base gets scattered, MasTeR confirms the drone count. It's all good. We have an Oracle on the way here, and I'm feeling triple Oracle. I'm feeling it. There we go. First Oracle zooming across the map. Second one is going to be here at home. And then I imagine the third one is going to be protecting that third base as it gets thrown down. So again, nothing crazy from our Protoss player. It's all looking pretty normal, pretty standard. So that means it's time to go mass muta, right? Oh boy. Oh boy. Oracle rocks up. Nothing to really kill here other than Larva. So the Larva is a little bit tempting, but MasTeR, he doesn't take the bait, doesn't go for it, waiting for the drones to be transferred over, and they almost were, but thankfully the ZergLord is keeping an eye on his workers, isn't going to be giving any away for free. And so far, so good. I say so far, so good. What's important is that this first Oracle doesn't need to do damage, because soon it's going to meet up with the second Oracle, and then with their powers combined, they can one-shot workers, and that's kind of where the real terror comes into play, as it is going to be meeting up there with the second one. Here comes the third behind this, and we're going into a Twilight Council with the Forge. This should be triple Oracle into +1 Blink Stalkers. So again, nothing too out of the ordinary, pretty similar to the last game as well. As the Oracles try and dive in, they get one drone a little bit overly ambitious. A very nice reaction there by the ZergLord, immediately pulling away to the furthest away mineral patch, just forcing as much damage as possible from that spore on that Oracle. So far, really nicely handled by the ZergLord. Minimal losses, minimal losses. Meanwhile, I don't know if you noticed, but we have a fourth Oracle on the way. So that's gonna be a lot of Oracles that we're gonna be working with. And now the attention span of the ZergLord is going to be put to the test. Can he defend at multiple places at once? Do you have a revelation on the queens here at the fourth? Meanwhile, the Oracles dive on in, and there's only a single queen here at the natural. 3 drones do go down. Not a single Oracle falls for this. Again, not bad at all for MasTeR. And once again, the ZergLord, his response to this is mutas. I don't like it. Well, I mean, well, he did win the first game with this, but there's no way this works 2 games in a row, right? There's no way. There's no way. We'll see. So this is a little bit scary. So MasTeR, he still has all 4 of his Oracles alive. He just tried to dip into the main base. So far, the Spire hasn't been scouted. We'll see if these Oracles find their way into the main. If they do, they're going to see everything, and the ZergLord is going to have to make a choice on whether or not he wants to cancel. There we go, the Oracles, they dip on in, 6 workers go down. It looks like they're rotating towards the main base, and they will head towards the main. Looking at the vision, they do confirm the Spire. This is what I was worried about. This is the power of the Oracle. It's not just about killing workers. By the way, they just killed 9 workers for a single Oracle. Well worth it already. He confirms the Spire, and now we got to make a choice. MasTeR is pushing out with his first wave of Stalkers. Honestly, I think this is a good thing. I think, just like the previous game, this can work really well. But he's missing the army. We have a massive Ling run by head towards the third base. Oh my god, the Artosis pylon is real. Oh my god. 4 gates get depowered. The Stalkers are forced to turn around. At the same time, the Lings do hit the 4th base as well. Almost get a surround, but with the warp in, with the Stalkers, yeah, they're not going to do too much. At least they delayed the push. And MasTeR is going into Phoenixes. Interesting. This makes sense as an immediate response. I still would prefer Archons. I think Archons are kind of like what you really want in this position, especially against Ling Muta. But we'll see how it works. So far, Proxy Pylon gets sniped as well. The ZergLord has done just a great job at trying to maintain that map control. Not fully succeeding, but like hindering MasTeR quite a bit. Meanwhile, the Muta Cloud is coming across the map. The reinforcements, oh my god, the missed rally. 3 Mutas get picked off. 4 Mutas, 5 Mutas. Ugh. Expensive losses here for the ZergLord. He will get across the map and he will be able to take control of this 3rd base. But this Stalker army, this is a lair. Uh-oh. I didn't realize that the lair was at the 3rd, so the lair is going to fall and he can just keep going from here. We can just go full base trade. There we go. Does MasTeR keep on going? He doesn't head towards the natural. Instead, he rotates over towards the 4th base instead. Going to be knocking the ZergLord down to 2 base economy. And the ZergLord, he's just being a little bit idle here with his mutas. He doesn't really know what to do. He turns around and he's like, okay, I'll finish everything up here at the 3rd, and then I guess I'll turn around. It's too late to turn around now. Oh god, but he does so. And we can just recall. We don't even have to commit. And that's exactly what we see. We see a recall back home. The mutas and lings that came back home did absolutely nothing. Aye. And now that they go for a counterattack, I mean, that's where the Stalkers are. There are a lot of mutas, to be fair. We do have 20 mutas, and they can do a lot if left unchecked and unhindered. But MasTeR, you know, he's getting cannons up. He should be getting shield batteries here. That is something that he is missing. But the reality is that there's nothing forcing MasTeR to counterattack. Like, if he wants to, he can just stay at home and chill. He's up on bases against a Zerg player. Like this. I think this is a little bit unnecessary. Like, just go back home, puppy. Go back home. Here we go. We have a 2nd Stargate. Double Phoenix production going to be coming out from MasTeR. Ling run by is going to run into the army itself. Gets a bit of a surround on a cannon, but again, the Blink Stalkers are not too far away. MasTeR is looking perfectly fine. And the ZergLord even has to rebuild his lair. It was such an unfortunate position to have his lair at the 3rd. Like, there is some logical sense there. Like, it does give his 3rd a little bit more HP. It does hide the lair as well in case the Oracles were a little bit more focused on scouting the main base. But the risk didn't really pay off. Didn't really pay off for himself. He's double expanding. He's actually triple expanding, or maybe looking to triple expand. The ZergLord, his economic position is just in the gutter right now. Okay, he picks up a couple of Stalkers. Not bad. Like, the Lings are still pretty terrifying, to be honest. Like, Stalker Phoenix isn't ideal against Lings, which is what I'm mostly worried about. Here we go, we see a full surround. Zealots are coming into support though, and Zealots are exactly what MasTeR needs. The Phoenixes are trying to dive on top of these mutas. They're getting in range though, not making full use of their mobility, so a lot of Phoenixes are going down, but this is still a better trade for MasTeR. Like, he can afford these losses, he can afford to rebuild, and the ZergLord cannot. Speaking of not rebuilding, here we go. The Zealots just go for a mass counterattack. There are some Lings that'll deal with this, but again, without Banelings, Zealots are going to be perfectly fine. And just like that, MasTeR proving to all of us, look, you can mass mute me once, but I'm not going to let that happen again. GG, well played. MasTeR ties up the series 1-1. I see betrayal. It worked once. It'll work again, Copium. I understand the logic, right? Like, because if MasTeR, if he didn't recognize what he should be doing in that situation by the end of that game, then maybe it would work again. You know, maybe the ZergLord can get another quick, easy win. He tries it out, but we can all see that again, going for a fast spiral like that, it's not going to work against MasTeR. Not 2 games in a row. Not 2 games. So we are now tied up 1-1. Both players still need 2 wins each to walk away the victor here, walk away with that prize money, with that first place prize money, I should say. And yeah, the ZergLord has to go back to the drawing board. Don't do it 3 games in a row. The ZergLord, papi, don't do it 3 games in a row, please, please, don't do it. Oh god, I'm afraid. I see Betrayer. Both are GM? Yes, yes. If you want specific MMR, I want to say between 5.6 and 5.8k. Last I checked, I believe MasTeR was 5.6. I can double check after this game, I guess. But yeah, 5.6, 5.7, 5.8. Like that's kind of what you expect to see out of these players. So yes, both GM, both GM. And we'll see how far they can go. Get relatively evenly matched, relatively. But we are on Curious Minds. Are we gonna see a Bane Bust? We shall see, as spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Curious Minds LE, we have the Brazilian Zerg player himself representing Team Super. It is TheZergLord. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Curious Minds LE, we have the Brazilian Protoss player himself representing Platinum Heroes. It is MasTeR. All right, people in the chat. There's no way TheZergLord does it three games in a row, right? There's no way he tries to make Spire work 3 games in a row, right? I mean, MasTeR wouldn't expect it, right? Right? Copium. Oh god. Well, what I will say is, especially on Curious Minds, I think we're all aware, everyone should be aware of this because of this map specifically, because of how open and how exposed the third bases can be, and even the natural at times. We should be seeing a ground-based army from the ZergLord. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him cut, if he drones up to like 60 or 66 drones and just goes for Roach Rab. I feel like that can work wonders on a map like Curious Minds. There's a reason why we don't see this map too often, especially in PvZ. It is considered to be a Zerg favorite map, just because of how hard it is to take that third. But we'll see what he decides to go for. I mean, again, I'm sure there was a lot of logic behind going for the Spire, and you know, maybe he feels like he could have hit a little bit faster, a little bit harder, and could actually make it work. I'm doubtful of that, but I'm sure the ZergLord knows better. So we'll see what strategy he decides to go for. We could see a Bane Bust as well, but for the time being, everything is looking pretty normal. We are all droning up. We have 4 Lings on the way. It is all standard. Oh boy. And here we go. Meanwhile, from the side of MasTeR, we do see another Stargate opener so far. Makes sense. He's been going for it every single game so far. Hasn't really been varying things up. I think in game 1 he did go for a Void Ray first, so he did change things up a little bit there, but yeah, in the end he still does fall back on the Oracles, fall back on those Stalkers. I mean, it's a fun style to watch. It's very active considering what we've been used to, what we've been like conditioned to for the past 2 years. Like double Stargate Void Ray. Like I think for a lot of like longtime viewers, I think we're all done with that for a while. You know, I think people are sick of Void Rays and we don't want to see them ever again. So it's refreshing. It's refreshing to see players have more fun with ground toss nowadays. Feels good, man. Feels good. Massive shout out to Hero. Massive shout out to Hero. But until then, again, Oracle opener, shocker. I know. I think I'm just anticipating what the ZergLord is gonna do. Like, is he gonna throw down another? I really hope he doesn't. I really hope he doesn't. I'm keeping an eye on his gases as well to see if he takes any additional gases, any fast lair or anything like that. So far, just droning up, looking at his vision, he gets into the main base, confirms it's Stargate, confirms the Oracles. We see him respond and respect the Oracles by going for his spores. Queens are getting in position as well. Yeah, just playing it safe. Ooh, even gets a nice surround here. Forces a cancel at the third. Very nice. Something you don't see too often. Exclamation mark Funada. This Oracle right here. It should have been at home. It should have been here to protect that base. Meanwhile, second Oracle is on the way, third Oracle in production as well. MasTeR just, again, getting into his build, but hitting a couple of speed bumps on the way. Again, that cancel was very nice, very nice. Meanwhile, can MasTeR make up for it as he comes across the map here with his double Oracle? Ooh, runs into the Queens though. They were already in position. The Oracles so far, once again, do nothing. And TheZergLord is getting away with just droning up, just chilling at home, getting his economy pretty well underway. Oof. Meanwhile, massive shout out to Eximius TV. Yo, fala galera. Oh god, what other Portuguese do I know? Gracias. Oh, sorry. Obrigado, papi. Obrigado. For those who don't know, Eximius TV, they are a Brazilian StarCraft team, and I'm sure they're here because 2 Brazilian players are in the grand finals cheering for their boys. At the same time, we see Triple Oracle dive into the third base. Oh my god, a lot of drones going down, and also some Adepts trying to sneak into the main. The Adepts honestly don't do too much damage. They do get thrown away, but they did distract the TheZergLord, and they allowed all of this damage done at the third. So, well worth it so far. A single Oracle for 8 drones, not bad. He did give up a lot of Adepts though, and that does mean that his defenses at home are a little bit weaker. Yo, we get the full surround! Oh my god, the shield battery isn't done either, but thankfully we have a little bit of Pulsar energy left on these Oracles. If it wasn't for these Oracles, these 2 Stalkers would have 100% been killed. Meanwhile, massive shout out to TheZergLord because, mate, we have +1 range on the way. Gases are being taken, but again, not in a fast fashion or anything like that. For actually taking 6 gases, that's a lot of gas. I don't know if we need that much, but so far it looks like he is still committed to just making roaches. There is no Spire, there are no meters. You love to see it. Fourth base turned down. Unfortunately, TheZergLord wasn't able to apply as much pressure as he would have liked here at this third, but I'm sure he will soon once he is done droning. He has hit that wonderful magic number. 66 drones basically means you're fully saturated on 3 bases, and now it is time to make army. Oh boy. Meanwhile, here at home, we do have 2 shield batteries, we have 2 pylons, some cannons. I mean, we are relatively well set up defensively, but is it going to be enough here? Because again, the TheZergLord, he's not stopping. Like, he is holding down that R key to morph in roaches, R key to morph them into ravagers. Like, he's just not stopping. MasTeR is going to meet him across the map. I don't know if this is the best move here because we are going to have a lot of supply to work with. Like, he is pressuring a little bit at this 4th base, and to be fair, if the TheZergLord was taking up into lurkers right now, into hydras, then MasTeR would hit a beautiful timing, but he's not. He's still on road trap. Nice road run by here. Actually pulls away the entire army of MasTeR for a moment. Gets 4 probe kills, forces a warp in at home as well. And now the TheZergLord, it's a 1-2 punch, mate. He is ready to go. He has not been droning for a long time. He's still making nothing but roach ravager. He wants to at least kill this third. Side defense looking a little bit exposed. Where are those vials? Cannon goes down, shield battery as well. There is going to be no overcharge. Charge lots are going to do what they can. Problem is that these are not charge lots, they are slow lots. Across the map, looks like the 4th base was killed, not cancelled. I mean, it did finish. So the Stalkers did well for themselves. They did recall back home, but not home in time to save that third. And can the TheZergLord fight this? He wants to try and dive on top of this army. And it looks like he should have enough to do so. Oh my god, MasTeR, he was supply block for a moment there. He actually can't make anything else. And just like that, this is why Curious Minds gets vetoed so much. It's so difficult to hold onto your 3rd base. GG gets called, and the TheZergLord takes game number 3. That 3rd base was so open, it was so exposed. The side defense died before there was anything really for them to do, anything for them to keep alive. Sure, the Stalkers killed a base across the map, but again, we weren't gonna get up further than 66 drones. Like, that is where we were stopping. That is the hard cap for the TheZergLord's push, and he was already there. He didn't care about another base. I mean, it would have helped with Larva, but that's all it was for. That is all that mattered. So the ZergLord more than happy to give up a base for a more crucial mining base of MasTeR. Also, he was getting supply blocked. He didn't have the pylons that he needed. That was a great window where charge wasn't done either. So the Zealots weren't doing anything, to be honest. They were just soaking damage, I guess, but not dealing any damage. And GG, really well done there by the ZergLord. And now we are getting ready for game number 4. The ZergLord only needs one more, uno más, gente, to become our champion. Meanwhile, MasTeR, he needs to win this next game and the one after. 2 games in a row. Can he do it? Meanwhile, I can see the people in the chat rocking in. MasTeR and the ZergLord, they took down Mike and Ryu. Nice. Yeah, they both popped off tonight. Like, they both got really good results to make it here to the grand finals. I see Fox in the chat. MasTeR trying to work with that hero style. Yeah, trying. But again, like, this map specifically, it's a little bit harder to execute that on. You need to have that map control. You need to force the Zerg player to stay at home. Wasn't able to in the end. Wasn't able to. Now we're getting ready for our next map. Oh my god. A bit of the ZergLord map, as we are going into the shortest rush distance in the map pool. It is going to be Berlingrad. Also, massive shout out to Darking in the chats. Of course, he is the person who runs Sentimiento Latino. Not today, as he was busy with work. He is finishing up with work, but we're also kind of finishing up with the tournament. A little bit mistimed, a little bit. Boy, here we go. We are diving into game number 4 and spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Berlingrad LE. We have the Brazilian Protoss player himself. He is purple, representing Platinum Heroes. He needs 2 more. He needs to win this game or he is done. His tournament run is over. It is MasTeR. And spawning in the top right hand corner of Berlingrad LE, we have the other Brazilian player, the Brazilian Zerg player himself, representing Team Super. It is the ZergLord. He only needs one more uno más to become our champion. As a reminder, the ZergLord, he actually won Copa Hyperion last week. Not the same tournament series as this, but again, he was last week's champion. And can he go for the back-to-back crowns, mate? Can he go for it? He's so close. Oh, so close. I want to believe. We're here on Berlingrad. Last time we saw the ZergLord on Berlingrad, he went for a Bane bust. Didn't work. it kind of fell on its face. If you remember, he tried a Bane bust, it failed. He tried again, and it failed. And then he tried a 3rd time. Because 3rd time's a charm, right? Not for the ZergLord. Not for Bane busts, unfortunately. Mike defended beautifully against it, so I hope the ZergLord doesn't go for that again. We have to keep an eye on his drone count and whether or not or where he pulls out of gas after link speed. Meanwhile, MasTeR, again, I'm sure he's well aware of the aggression of his opponent. Personally, I wouldn't want to see a Bane bust. I would like to see more Roach Rav play instead. I think that's where the ZergLord is at his strongest. God forbid he go for another Spire. Not like this, puppy. Not like this. Oh boy. And we shall see. So far, standard openers. Hold on, just letting. Yes, 200. Someone was asking back when I was playing Grandmasters was top 200. It's like yes, Grandmasters is still top 200. It is still top 200. Boy. All right. Well, here we go. So far, standard opener Stargate from our Protoss player should be into Oracles, as we've seen time and time again. Meanwhile, the ZergLord just joining up at home, looking to go in for a bit of a scout. It can be a little bit harder to scout on this map because there is no perv pillar at the natural, but there's also nothing that shoots up, so there shouldn't be any issue for the ZergLord to get in and see what is going on. That's your cue, Overlord. That's your cue. I think he's waiting for this adept. He's like, oh, okay, the adept is still there. All right, just making sure everything's on the up and up. Nothing crazy's going on. And we just be chilling. We just be droning. I mean, this first Oracle eventually will be seen. I'm a little bit concerned. So there was no Stalker here as a part of the wall, so it should scream Stargate. The Oracle gets spotted anyway. I was like, maybe the Oracle can avoid the Overlord, but we don't want to see a repeat of last game. If you remember, last game when MasTeR tried to expand, Lings were here immediately and he was forced to cancel. So this time MasTeR, he's a little bit wise to that. He keeps his Oracle at home a little bit longer just to make sure the third gets up and running and he doesn't have to cancel. So it's cool to see him react and adapt on the fly mid-series against the ZergLord. He doesn't want to make the same mistake again. Speaking of, he does get a kill on one of those drones. Meanwhile, oh, double forge. Not just one. Is this intentional? This is double forge before Twilight Council. The Overlord is going to go down. Is he going to see it? Oh my god, it's going to be so close. It's going to be so close. The Overlord barely sees one forge. At the same time, the Oracles dive on in. They get a couple of drone kills here and there, but at the cost of an Oracle. Not what we want to be seeing here. We want to keep these Oracles alive. But again, just double checking. One forge was spotted. No upgrades? Is this a mistake? No. Maybe. What are we watching right now? So at first I was like, was it a mistake, and is he trying to make up and trying to make it work anyway and try and, you know, what does it make lemonade out of lemon? Or is this intentional? Is this even for Blink Stalkers? Like, are we gonna hit like a charge timing with 1-1? I would kind of love to see that. No, Blink instead. Okay. So MasTeR going for a very different route here. Is this gonna work? I have to wonder. Is it worth it? Is it worth going double upgrades here when we're going Mass Blink Stalker? I mean, upgrades are important, but usually, especially as a Protoss player, it's your attack upgrades that are more important. This will, specifically, for those wondering, this will help against Lings. This will help the Stalker survive against mass Ling compositions. But we're seeing Ling Bane Roach Ravager from the ZergLord, and he's investing more into his Ravagers, less so on his melee. So I don't know. I don't know how this is going to work out. Okay. Well, for the time being, the Oracles are just dipping between the bases, just going for a scout. They do confirm the Baneling Nest, so now he knows 100% that it is going to be Road Traveling Bane. Oh my god, immediately he starts 2-2. Or +2 armor at least. Give us +2 attack. Gib. We need a little bit more gas. Just a little bit. Up. There we go. The 2-2 timing is real. Okay. You have my interest, MasTeR. You have my interest. We'll see how this goes. As again, he's just kind of flirting, pushing into that fourth base. Oh, actually committing a little bit. Will not get a Ravager. Oh, those were clutch transfuses. Very nicely done there by the ZergLord. At the same time, Baneling run by here adds to the third base of MasTeR. No, 15 workers go down. We cannot afford losses like this. Massive win there for the ZergLord. The Stalker push does nothing. His economy is in shambles. He has to try and rebuild. Another Ling run by is being set up. Possibly a Bane run by. The SimCity here just isn't that good. We do have some cannons and we do have some shield batteries, but make these Banelings, they don't care. They weren't even speedlings. They just waddled in. Meanwhile, the ZergLord's doing a great job at just holding the line here at the 4th base. Hasn't let this army get anywhere near his mineral line. Despite the upgrade advantage. Meanwhile, Bailey's waddling in again. This time we do have a better reaction, not just from MasTeR, but also from myself. I was able to catch it this time. Oh, yo, Bailey speed! Oh, it finishes up just in time, but not fast enough. Connects a little bit, forces lost mining time. Barely any mining here at the 3rd base, and now the ZergLord is pushing out. The armies do miss each other. 2 ships passing in the night. Overcharge is being popped, but oh, the shield batteries are stacked up right next to each other. The Biles deal with both of them. The Roach Rav is here, and the ZergLord is maxed, mate. This is his bread and butter. This is why we don't need mutas. You know, who needs mutas when you have just mass Roach Ravager? The drone count was insane. The Biles connect even with the Oracles. Somehow, someway, the ZergLord, he shoots up with units that can't even. We have more links behind this. 2-2 is finishing up for MasTeR. He does have a massive upgrade advantage, but again, is it going to be enough? For the time being, it is. MasTeR is holding on. He does have another wave of shield batteries behind this, but as soon as the Banelings morph in, the ZergLord, he's just going to send it. That's exactly what he does. He's trying to break on through once again, continuing to be maxed out. The Banelings are rolling on in. They don't do the best damage against Stalkers, but they're forcing reaction. They're forcing less DPS. They're forcing a split. And the Banelings, you know, we all know what they want. They want the Mineral Iron. They're going to try and roll in regardless. The Stalkers are falling left and right. Oh, God. MasTeR just doesn't have enough. He does hold on to his economy, though. The probes do not die, and we do have a 4th base mining behind this. So again, the ZergLord has to break this base. And it looks like he will as he's closing the distance. The Lings are getting on top of a lot of these Stalkers. Because of their upgrades, the Lings, again, aren't doing that much damage. Not as much as they should, but it should be enough. Oh boy, as again, massive shout out to MasTeR for holding on for as long as he could. But there's just no way to hold on to this 3rd, mate. It's just not gonna happen. Like, I appreciate the mass upgrade style. It's something that we don't see too often at all, to be honest. And sure, like, the Stalkers get a massive boost because of it, but it does impact your tech. It does mean that it's difficult to tech into other things, like your Archons, like your Immortals. GG gets called, and the ZergLord, he does it. He takes the entire series 3-1, and he is our Sentimiento Latino 133 champion. GG. Oh my god. And I do appreciate that he showed off like a variety of styles. We saw mass muta 2 games in a row. We saw it win and lose. But more importantly, we saw some more standard mid-game play from him. MasTeR, a little bit peculiar with his build this game, I'll be honest. Like, I understand the power of hitting with a +2 timing, but 2-2? Like, that's a lot of gas being invested into that second forge, into those upgrades as well. And when you're going up against mainly a Roach composition like this, like, I don't know if it's really worth it in the end, to be honest. Maybe he can sustain this if he didn't lose so many workers. Remember, 15 probes went down. That's an entire mineral line. That is huge. Making mistakes like that at this level of play is usually unacceptable. Usually you cannot afford these losses because your builds are so crisp, because you're relying so much on not wasting so much money on probing, more so on making army, on making use of your gateways, on making use of your upgrades as well. Like, losing those 15 probes was disastrous. More importantly, the second Baneling run by, if you remember, forced MasTeR to turn around. You know, he wanted to be aggressive. He wanted to actually make use of his upgrade timing, but he couldn't. Because of how aggressive his opponent was being, because of the map as well, because it's so easy to be aggressive on Berlingrad, he was forced to turn around, and the turns were kind of tabled. Oof. GG, well played there by the ZergLord, and again, well played to MasTeR as well. It was very impressive for him to make it all the way to the finals. It was not an easy road, but the ZergLord is indeed back-to-back champions. 2 weeks in a row. Go by Pyrian and Sentimiento Latino. The ZergLord is popping off. And it's great to see, because for those who don't know, TheZergLord retired like last month. After DreamHack Latin America, TheZergLord announced his retirement. He was very depressed, he was very sad, because for those who don't know, TheZergLord failed to qualify for DreamHack Valencia. Barely. He was so close, but he barely didn't qualify, and he was so upset and so depressed when that happened that on social media he just was like, I'm done, I'm out, you know, I can't do it anymore. 2 weeks later, a couple of weeks later, he's like, you know what, I was just really emotional. I was in the middle of my exam period with my university. It was just a little bit too much at the time, but I want to be back. I'm back, and I want to be here. I want to get good, I want to improve, and I want to try again for DreamHack Atlanta. And that's exactly what he's doing here, and it's great to see him here winning these weekly tournaments, because it's something that we haven't seen TheZergLord do in a long time. I mentioned it last week. It's been like over 6 months. The last time TheZergLord won a weekly tournament like this was in November of last year. November, that's 8 months away. That's a long time. So for him to win 2 in a row, it just goes to show that now he is back in form, better than ever, looking to you know, be ready for those next qualifiers. I talk about DreamHack Atlanta, but TSL is next. TSL is in a couple of weeks, so there are going to be some Latin American qualifiers for that as well, and these are the players you need to be looking at. TheZergLord, MasTeR, Ryu, Paco, Mike, the old guard as well, your Special and your Kellizer, sure. But like these guys, they're not, you know, they're not taking it easy. They're not taking a break in this off season. No, they're still practicing, they're still getting better, and it's exciting to see. It's exciting. Ugh. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations, and yeah, with that concludes our tournament for the night. Payouts, let's pay out these predictions. Oh my god, 61% bets on TheZergLord, and you guys are going to be making a little bit of money. Let's go. I say money, predictions. Channel points, papi. GG. I'm just catching up. Fun attempted heavy upgrade style for MasTeR. Yeah, it was quirky. It was quirky. I appreciate the innovation there. Malditos Tavo. True. Tavito, ¿a dónde estás? I was talking about this earlier. We're missing some Terran players here. I saw Chaos Fate in the chat earlier, by the way. Don't think I didn't see you, Chaos Fate. Shaking my head. We need more Terrans in these weeklies. We need more Terrans, papi. But regardless, GG, well played. And yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed themselves here. For those who don't know, this is the 133rd edition of Sentimiento Latino, and we have been running this tournament for many years. I believe this tournament debuted in 2019, so it's been a long time. Been 3 years. Oh my god. It's hard to think about that. I think actually it started in 2018, now that I think about it, actually. So yeah, it's been a long running series, and it's gonna keep on going as well. So if you're interested, hit that follow button. It is a bi-weekly tournament, so every 2 weeks we have a Sentimiento Latino. Every other week we have a Copa Hyperion. So regardless, here at this time on this day, every single week we have Latin American StarCraft. The only instance where we don't have Latin American StarCraft is if there is DreamHack. Usually when there are DreamHacks, that is when we postpone these weeklies. We let ESL do their thing, we cast DreamHack instead, and we go on a little bit of a hiatus. That's usually how these weekly tournaments go. Oh, but yeah, with that, thank you so much everyone for watching. Thank you so much for the support as well. If you're interested in watching more of us, then ! socials in the chat. We have Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you know, all the social media stuff. We have our YouTube channel as well, so if you want to tune into some of the VODs, if you want to tune into some of the older Sentimiento Latinos, if you're interested in that sort of stuff, if you want to see some of these other players and want to see their rise over time and want to see how they were doing a year ago or something like that, check out our YouTube channel. We have a lot of VODs there. We upload on a daily basis, and we got you. We're full of StarCraft content. And if you want our next broadcast, we're going to be live tomorrow in 23 hours. Exactly 23 hours, we're going to be live with ESL Open Cup Asia. So if you want some of that Korean StarCraft, if you want the new map pool, we got you, mate. We got you. Last week was the first week where the ESL Cups were using the new maps. Stargazer, Moondance, Waterfall, to name a few. The new map pool is being enforced in the ESL Open Cups, and I highly recommend you check them out because the new maps, they are so refreshing. They're so good. They're so much fun to watch and cast. They're very unique. If you haven't seen the new maps, mate, we got pocket bases, we got gold bases, we got more pocket bases. We got some weird kind of layouts and pathing and like base layouts as well that we're not used to. We have like lower mineral bases for the pockets as well. Yeah, it's refreshing, it's interesting, it's different. There's mineral walls. There's a map that's kind of looks like I almost said overgrowth. Sorry, not overgrowth. Oh my god, I'm forgetting the name. The map, the infamous map with Scarlet versus Bomber. Close rushes by air, kind of Blackburn-esque. But that has a pocket base, but there are also mineral patches blocking the base itself. So you have to mine the minerals because they're in the way of where the CC would be, for example. So you have to mine that out first, and then you can take the base. But there's also minerals like leading into the rest of the map at that area as well. So it's not the most safe to take. But there's also a Zelnaga tower that can actually see that area as well. It's great. It's refreshing to see all these new maps, and it's a lot of fun as well. What I will warn you about is that because this is the first time a lot of these players are playing on the new maps, last week was very cheesy. A lot of players were just I don't think there was a single series that didn't have cheese. Like Hero, Bjorn, Kiwian, Armani. I think we casted some Armani as well. They were very cheesy, which makes sense because it can be really difficult to defend on a new map, especially because I've seen a couple people on social media talk about the walls. There are some very unique ramps. There are some very large ramps as well, so you have to tweak your wall if you're Protoss or Terran a little bit and get used to that as well. So because of that, a lot of the Koreans were very hyper aggressive last week and very abusive of that stuff as well. So I expect that to happen this week as well. It's usually what happens with new maps. Like, you know, people want to be like abusive of certain things that other people may not know about, may not be aware of as well. Proxy locations, stuff like that. So because of that, if you want some cheese, we're gonna get it tomorrow. I remember because last week's weekly was so short. Yaku and I, we were talking about it. There was one macro game. There was one macro game out of the entire night, and it was a good macro game, don't get me wrong. It was like Hero versus Bjorn. It was a good macro game, but like we got like one out of all the games that we casted. It was like, oh my god. It was crazy. I say one late game, I should say, one late game scenario. But yeah, it's a lot of fun anyway, and I highly recommend everyone check it out. That's gonna be us tomorrow. If you want some more Latin American StarCraft, again, a week from now, we'll be here. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy yourselves. Meanwhile, I'm probably gonna stream myself. I do have my personal channel, light_VIP, where I ladder. I'm not a pro player, I'm not even GM, so don't expect the highest level of plays. We just like to have fun. We just like to have some fun over on my personal stream. So if you're interested, check me out there. Otherwise, thank you. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of the support. I appreciate everyone tuning in. The subscribers as well. We got a couple of resubs today. Thank you so much. We got a couple of raids. Eximius Gaming. Thank you, Papi. Thank you. And give some love to some of the other people out there streaming. We're gonna give someone a raid. I say someone who is live right now. Oh, we have Foxer is streaming. Dave Testa is streaming. Romsley is, oh my god, Romsley is, I love Romsley. I love him so much. Trigger is having a ladder session. Trigger never uses a mic though, so Funada Trigger, get a goddamn mic. God damn it. We're gonna give someone a raid. we are probably going to give it to Shu Yu if she's playing StarCraft, just because she's celebrating her 3K followers and she's having a 8-hour stream. If she's playing StarCraft, we'll raid her. I don't know if she is playing StarCraft though. But I think, is Asher casting? Hold on.
Thought you did. Okay.
And listen.
Well, I'm glad you had the experience of playing it. Anyone else want to try Arctic Phone? Not to be confused with Garlic.
And then they're not playing StarCraft. God damn it. But oh my god, she's showing her Discord on stream. Bold, mate, bold. But apparently, she just had a viewer tournament, so that's what they were casting. But it looks like the viewer tournament's over, and it doesn't look like they're playing StarCraft anymore. Okay, so we won't raid you. God damn it. We'll give Dave tests. Whoever we decide to raid, give them some love, give them some support, give them a chance, because hey, you may be entertained. It can be worth it. It can be worth it. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for ESL Open Cup Asia. Ciao. Ciao, ciao, ciao. Bye.